Hi everyone, Martin's here, and in this tutorial I'm going to show you how to do natural portrait retouch and get from this to this. So I walked through YouTube and I noticed there is not really a good natural portrait retouching tutorial on YouTube, so I decided to give you something from me to show you how to do job really nice. And of course I'm going to cover a few steps like basic skin retouching, some of the frequency separation, some of the dodging and burring, and finally color grading, some really nice color grading. If you are interested in more advanced techniques, don't forget to check my premium tutorials, to check especially my high-end beauty retouching course on Udemy with huge discount. So for some details, just check the description. Especially if you're going to like this tutorial, I recommend you to check my premium courses, and I believe you won't be disappointed. So okay, we're going to start from very beginning. I'm not going to talk much. I'm just going to zoom a little bit at the end. As you can see, I didn't do that much on the skin. It's very natural retouching, and it's something that everyone can do. So that was idea behind this tutorial. It's not something for total professionals, but if you have some natural images, you can do this kind of retouching on your own. And as you can see, that was before. There was some of the spots on the skin, some of the hair that I really needed to remove. I softened the skin a little bit, I removed some of the not really nice shadows, and finally that color grading, of course. And what I have to say, this image belongs to my friend, so thanks to him that he let me to use this image. I'm going to start, of course, with raw conversion, because this image over here was after the raw conversion and it looks already a bit better. So right now I'm going to remove everything and start once again. I'm going to browse in Bridge because it's easier for looking through the raw images, and I believe it will be somewhere here. And that was this image. I'm going to hit right and open in Camera Raw. Anyway, if you're going to hit, it's going to open in Camera Raw. If you're working with JPEG image, you have to hit right and open in Camera Raw if you think the JPEG image is not that great. And what you can look, I have my previous settings already, so I need to restart all of this because some job was done already here. So reset Camera Raw's defaults, and that was the image we started with. So as you can see, it looks even different. It's really dark, so we need to bring up something from the shadows, because the shadow area just covered too much and it would be really difficult to work with. And that's really great thing about Camera Raw, the possibilities that Camera Raw is giving to us. What I want to do, for sure, I want to bring just a bit of temperature, not too much to not make this too warm, but just a little bit, because I believe this image was a bit too dark as for my taste. And also I'm getting a bit into these magentic tones. And rest of the things, as you know, we need to take down some of the contrast and bring up some of the lights from the shadows area. So that's the step I'm going to do in this basic raw conversion. Brighten up some of the shadows. Don't be afraid, just look at this, how much it's giving us. It will be so much working for this. I'm not really adding any contrast. I usually take down some of the contrast in Camera Raw because it's way easier to work with shadows a bit later. Same about whites and of course black. So this image, as you can see, we have so much more possibilities to work with at the moment. And as it's quite dark, I think I'm going to bring some of the exposure to make this image really bright. I think till that level, or maybe even more. And right now we have really nice and bright image, so that's really good start to work with. Let me just have more look. Yeah, I'm going to stop at this level. It's it keeps really nice balance. Also, what I do, I often like to add just a bit of clarity, but in this case not too much, because it's bringing up some of the contrast to us, and it's not something I really want to do. With highlights, I'm not going to experiment, because of course I could take it down. It gives us easier work later in Photoshop, but I'm going to keep this like that. Also, vibrance or saturation, there is some differences. Vibrance do not affect this orangey color that much, so we can add some of the vibrance as well, but usually I don't like to work with saturation over here. So the main point was to bring up some of the areas from shadows, so right now it will be way easier to work for us. You can check your settings. For this I can work with Adobe RGB. It's not high-end beauty retouching, so I don't need actually Pro Photo RGB. I'm going to work with this color space. It doesn't matter that much in this case, and I'm not going to print this image, and I'm going to open this as a smart object. So hit OK, and now we are ready to open our object in Photoshop. So the image is open, and right now it's way easier. It will be way easier to work with it, as we got some of the areas from the shadows. I believe maybe I could bring up some more, but it's pointless to talk about this. And what I'm going to do straight away, I'm going to start with frequency separation. So maybe you know how to work with frequency separation. I already did a tutorial about this. So to do frequency separation, we need to duplicate this layer twice to not make confusion. If I duplicate this, it will be smart object, so I'm going to create merge visible first to not make confusion. So new layer, Alt, Control, Command, Shift and E, and now Control and J to duplicate this, so we have two copies. First one will be as a low, second one will be as a high. So on the low layer, we need to add blur to the level that the image will be blurry enough to not see any details, but we still will be able to see the main shapes of the face. So I think around this level, we got into this, around 12, 11, I think. It's suitable. But of course, do not suggest by what I do, because every image is different. So this, simply speaking, if your image is smaller, you're going to use smaller values than I use. So that's how you're going to do this. I'm going to go with this value. It's suitable for me. I think maybe around 12. Okay, so I'm going with value 12. Hit OK. And on high layer, it might look a bit more complicated, but it's not. I'm going into image and apply image. So once again, not talking too much, as a layer, it will be low layer, so it's kind of our source. And blending, I'm using 16-bit image because I was working with raw image. However, if you work with JPEG image, the value will be different. So if you have JPEG image, you're going with subtract. If you work with raw image, you're going with add. And if you have add, the scale is 2 and offset 0. If you go with subtract, the scale will be 2 and offset 128. And this box as an inverted. As I know, when you go with subtract, this box won't be inverted. Yeah, so that's for subtract for 8-bit image, that's for add. If you're not sure how many bit has your image, I think you can go image mode and you can find this over here. Between these two, I'm just going to create layer, which I'm going to call tones. So it's really nice to work with this. All of this I'm going to put into the group, Control Command G, and I'm going to call this FS as frequency separation. So what's important? On this layer, top high layer, I'm going to change into linear light, and that's our image as we started with, because these two images contains the same information as our image. We just split this for colors and for details. Colors are on the low layer and details on the high layer. That's very simply speaking. And between, when we're going to paint, we're not going to affect the texture, but just colors, because all the details are over here. So let's start. I'm going to start working with the details. And frequency separation is especially great if you want to remove some of the stray hair on the face, which are not really that great. You can work with healing brush tool or spot healing brush tool, but very important is to work with a hard edged brush, nearly at 100, so it's not going to make it blurry. If I work with beauty image, I usually work with clone stamp. However, this is not beauty, I don't need that much, and as you can see, it works really great for the hair. I'm just removing this using healing brush tool. If you need to have more explanation also, at the moment I'm trying just to do as much as I can. I don't want to do this for more than 1 hour for the purpose of this tutorial. In my premium course I explain really a lot about frequency separation and many other things, and it's also focused on the much more professional techniques. So on this layer, what we do, I retouch all of these small spots, all of these small scars. I have to say she has very beautiful skin, very detailed, so it's something I do really like. I don't have such an issues with this. It's very easy to work with her skin, I can see. I didn't do such a great job over here, but that's alright. Usually better to work with a really small size. I could speed this up. The point is, I don't think there's that much work, so I'm not going to speed this up. These kind of spots, I'm not going to remove all of them because there's no need. I actually want to keep some of the spots. That's the common mistakes. I don't know why people think we need to remove everything. We don't. Actually, you want to people look like a real objects, like a people, and not like a dolls. You have many bad tutorials on YouTube showing how to blur out the skin. Blurring out the skin is not something what you're supposed to do when you're retouching images. Also, I had this spot over here. I was thinking if I should remove this or if I should keep this. I decided to remove this just for now, but it wasn't something we have to do. Okay, here just a little bit cover this white spot over here. And here, I think I sorted out by working with colors. There's some scar over here. I could sort it out working by colors as well. So I'm not bothered about this. Let me see. Maybe just a bit more. And now I'm going to have a look on the hands. Okay, that would be done, not that much details, not that many, and I'm going to low layer and I'm going to duplicate this at first. because I'm duplicating this just in case if I'm going to mess up something, it will be difficult to do a step back. And I'm going with a mixer brush for now. I have some weird tones over here, so I want to work with this a little bit. Sorry, I want to work a bit more with this. So alright, now mixer brush, you can see the values I have over here. I'm also not going to explain you this all, just keep the low values and experiment. So you're going to know it's all about settings for your brush, I could say. It's not very wet. We're not getting to get big samples of paint, etc. Also explaining this much more in the premium course. And of course we need to work on low layer with this. I'm going to choose a soft edged brush in this case, and I'm going to take the samples from this area and just mix a little bit around here, just to brighten up this area a little bit. I didn't like, so a bit over here. Have a look. That's before and that's after. I believe it looks a bit better. A bit still a bit dark over here. So yeah, but of course better be careful with it. Frequency separation is something that is overused recently. So I'm just trying to fight against this. I even saw, maybe I shouldn't say this, I saw some professional photographers who tried to teach frequency separation, and they showed this wrong actually. Okay, so I'm going to duplicate this once again, and this time I'm going to choose lasso tool and just do a round like me. And then hit Q if you can see that you have soft edges enough. If you have edges soft enough, it's okay. And very important is don't do selection like that, because you're going to simply destroy your image. Select average size parts to have a bit more control, and then filter, blur, and Gaussian blur, and very softly try to blur this out. For this image the value will be around 30 pixels, but it also once again depends on the size of the image. Now I'm just going to copy this by Ctrl and F. So over here, a bit under the eyes. So what you can see, if I would work on that big area, I could just smash out all of the shadows, but I don't want to do this for all of the face. That's why it's so important to not select too massive areas. So it's sorting out really nice some of the shadows. The area is a bit rough over here. I will be pushed to work with this. Once again, a bit on the hands. Okay, that would be enough. So I'm not doing that much work with this, as you can see. I can do a little bit more with, maybe with high frequency, just to sort out the details. So that's what we do. And this layer between is super helpful if you think about the colors. And I'm going to show you how really nice it can work. We can fix some of the shadows. So still, I don't want to knock this down over here because it's really nice, but if you have eyes shadows, for example, look what I'm going to do. I'm going to choose just a regular brush, and flow, in this case usually it's around between 1 and 3%. That would be the best choice. Of course, soft edged brush. I'm going to take a sample of this color, which is brighter than the color over here, and with this soft brush, let me just paint a little bit over here. You can see the difference. I brighten up a little bit of the eye bags. I can do this a bit over here as well. Of course, not too much. I don't really want to do this that much because I don't want to steal the character of my model. Can do a bit over here. So you can see, if you want to work with the colors, that's what I recommend. And I'm not using the soft colors, but I'm actually sampling something from the skin. So we're not changing the skin color, and the skin color is still suitable for the model. That's very important. Also, I'm planning to do really advanced natural light photography retouching course very soon. Maybe it takes a long time because I want to find a lot of images, a lot of different kind of images, so it should be really great course. So okay, we finished with these basic steps. That before, that's after. Skin already looks much better, you have to say. Some of the details, not so easy. Okay, some of the real white spots over here as well. Okay, but it's something for later. Okay, after this step I can close this, and I want to brighten up a bit of the eyes and maybe a teeth. So in this case I'm just going to use curve adjustment layer, use curves and pull it up just till this level. I'm going to call this eye brightness. And alright, I'm going to invert this layer, Control Command I to invert this, and now with this maybe higher flow a bit and white color on this layer mask, I'm going to paint a bit over here with the white color, so it's actually brightening up the eyes a little bit. You can see before, after. Of course, I'm not doing this too much because it's just going to look simply fake. And what I want to do, usually I split this, but on this one layer we can also brighten up the eyeball a little bit. If you have different eye color, what I would recommend you, maybe you could do separate curve adjustment layers. You can create more of them. I'm going to create one more for teeth, not too much, and I'm going to invert this once again. I'm going to call this teeth and paint once again on this layer, just a bit to brighten them. I want to keep this natural, so I'm not pulling this that much. Let's put this to one group and call this details. Okay, before, after, looks way better. Hope you all can agree. I don't know why I said both. And this layer a bit, I'm sorry, this eye a bit more. It should be way more brightened than the other one. Sorry if you can't hear my phone. So okay, we did quite a lot, and right now will be the step that actually allow us to sort out a bit of the shape and sort out the shadows even more. And I'm talking about dodge and burn. I'm going to show you basic step of dodging and burning, how to work with curves. You have two choices. I'm not sure if you heard about this. If you choose this, you can work with 50% gray layer or curve adjustment layers. I prefer to use curve adjustment layers. So I'm going to create one curve and doing exactly the same what I was doing before. Pull it up for brightness, not too much. Let's duplicate this. I'm going to put this copy under, and this copy will be for burning, so it will be into darkness. So that's the basic adjustments for dodging and burning. I'm going to call this burn, and the top one I'm going to call dodge. And of course we need to invert these layer mask. So Control Command I, for the other one Control Command I as well, and I'm going to put this to the group, Control Command G, and I'm going to call this as a D and B as dodge and burn. Let's open this. What we can do even more over here, we can create kind of help layers so we can see a bit more details, a bit more shadows to work with. So I'm going to create new layer. I'm going to call this layer B and W, and I'm going to edit, fill, and I'm going to fill this with 50% gray. To see the perfect black and white color, I'm going to change blending mode to color. But this is just a help layer, and also if you still cannot see that many details, you can add levels or curve adjustment layer to pull a bit more contrast for this black and white. So when we do black and white, you can see some of the shadows to work with on the face. So that's why I'm using this help black and white layer. So let's go to dodge, and similar as before, I'm going to use flow at 2%, and of course a soft edged brush, and I'm looking from the distance. For this kind of image, I'm not really zooming this too much. I need to see just the main shadows, and very softly, especially if you work with tablet, I'm just painting like this to brighten this up. Can you see the difference already? You can see the small difference, how I'm sorting out the shadows inside. I'm not going to split this. I'm going to do on these two layers all the job. I really need to. So some shadows here. Have some bad shadow here. So that's how I'm going to work with this. It's not going to take that much. I don't want to keep you too long. And the point is to show you simple techniques and simplify all of this. So I don't want to do that much retouching. If you want to do more of retouching, you have always open space to do this. I also think that's the last portrait retouch I'm doing, by the fact I didn't see someone show more than this on YouTube. I think I've been here long enough to share something better than this still time. So that's how I do with these small shadows. If you have some scars on the face, and dodge and burn will help you to resolve this kind of issue very easily. However, in natural portrait we're not doing that much, Also, if you want to learn about dodging and burning in my premium course, which will be linked, I explain really a lot about dodge and burn. I give you also a lot of actions, actions for frequency separation, actions for eye retouching, actions for dodging and burning, and there's really a lot of explanation and showing different techniques for dodging and burning. Maybe on the hands we should have a look, but the hands looks pretty much fine for me. So okay, after we sorted out shadows, you can see the difference. It's not that big actually, just very soft change. I could work a bit more, maybe over here. I feel I overdone this. If you overdone this, you can always change the color and bring it back, or you can go with burning and you will have pretty much the same result. Okay, so as it's quite sorted, I think we need to contour the image, and dodging and burning is mostly about contouring. So also I'm taking care about, actually I was doing a huge mistake. As you can see, I wasn't working with white color and I didn't know why I'm not affecting. So yeah, once again I need to do this step. Sorry for this, it happens. Now we'll be fine. That's why I got wrong here. I could cut it out from this video and pretend it didn't happen, but you're going to have these problems as well. To work a bit more with the shadow over here. It wasn't so straight, I want this a bit nicer. Okay, so I'm going to start with burn right now. And the same with soft brush, I'm just going to paint around the face shape as it goes to make this face a bit smaller. That's the point, and that's how it affects when we're going to do contouring. Usually what it does, it makes an impression of the face being a bit smaller before and after. As you can see, the face is going a bit inside. And it's very easy because we're going actually with exactly with the direction of the shadows, so it shouldn't be really complicated for you. After you do some of the contouring, let's zoom this a bit. I'm going with Dodge, and I'm painting the bright spaces inside. On the natural images, I'm not doing that much actually. It would be different talk if that would be beauty image. Of course, the lights on the hands here. That's how the masks looks like, and the contours for it. that should work. Here. So okay, that should be it pretty much. It takes a lot to get the perfection, and I'm already doing this too long, I feel. So I'm not going to make this longer than this. What I'm going to do a bit more with Dajin is on the hair. I want to add some brightness on the hair. So that's it. And finally, right now there is a moment for our final adjustments. So we're going to work with colors, with contrast and things like this. I'm not going to give you specific steps, but I'm going to show you the tools that are going to help you to achieve really nice and desired look. There is never enough talk of this, so I'm going to show you what I'm using to achieve what I want. So I'm going to teach you how to masterize your color adjustments for portrait retouching. So what I'm going to start with, selective color, which is super powerful. And actually, if you were watching before my other tutorials, you probably noticed I really love selective color, and you're going to see why very soon. I'm not going to use this that much, but in this case I really like neutrals, and they working really well in this case for me. So I'm going to brighten this up a little bit. I felt this image still was a bit too dark, so I could do this maybe a bit more in camera roll. However, right now, if you didn't do this, if you feel it's a bit too dark, you can always use a bit of the blacks for neutrals and pull them down, so it's going to bring up some of the brightness for your image, and we're actually not losing that many contrasts. So also, I don't like the strong yellow colors, so I'm going to pull this down, and it gives me some really nice and natural color in this case. And maybe I could add just a bit of magenta, but not too much to not knock it down too much. So at this point, I feel I'm a bit happy. And as you can see, I used just a few adjustments, and it does actually drastic difference. We can see how the whites works for us. So I'm going to pull down some of the darkness on whites. So it's going to give me even a bit more contrast. But we need to be careful, because if you get to this point, for example, so if you add too much, you're going to burn this image, and we don't really want this. But the same as we pull up some of the blacks for neutrals, so it's good to pull up some of the blacks down on the whites to keep the same balance. Can have a look and zoom this in to see if you didn't affect the skin. As you can see, it's actually the same as it was. It's always worth to keep the eye on this, actually. What else? If you want to do a bit more, you can use this over and over. Often I use just a few selective color adjustments, and you can use as much as you really want on this. So I'm going to take a bit of yellow from red. This image is a bit red, so I'm even going more into this tone I really like. But it's of course up to you. The image can be more yellow, less yellow, etc. And I think I'm done with selective colors for now. And then we're going to work even more with colors. And the second thing I'm using so often is curves. I like curves, levels for contrast, also for colors sometimes. Actually, levels not using for colors. It could be color bands also, and gradient map. So I'm going to start with curves. And what I do with curves, I really do like experiments. So we have this curve over here, and this area is responsible for shadows. This area is responsible also for highlights. So as you can see, I'm pulling this up. I'm affecting shadows, so it's actually knocked down the contrast. I'm using this one. As you can see, it affects only the highlights. So if I'm going to go down, it's going to darken the highlights. I'm going to take this down, it's going to actually darken the shadows. So, and that's the simple way how it works. So I'm going to blue now, and if I'm going to pull up the blue, as you can see, it affecting the shadows in the blue way. When I'm going to get this way, it affecting this in the yellow colors, and the same about highlights. This way, as you can see, we affecting the highlights with the blue color. So what I'm going to do, I will pull this up quite much, and for now maybe it doesn't look so impressive, but we can easily knock this down by green. I believe by green. It's not much, maybe till this level. I can manipulate this over and over. So what I want to do, I'm going to use another curve adjustment layer, and now I'm going to knock this down this way, maybe. So now we're going into this really nice, a bit dreamy effect, I could call this that way. I like to work that way, it gives me some really nice control on it. I'm looking if it will be right, because I don't want to fix this over and over later. So right now I'm just looking if it's suitable for the image. What I'm going to do, maybe once again, so let's see how the red works. Maybe just a bit of red up, and maybe into green, but it's giving me a bit too green effect at the moment. See what I can achieve more here. I don't think I really like this. Maybe before this effect would be a bit nicer, I think. So yeah, I won't be experimenting too much. I could if I would have more time, but of course it's all very important. It's all about you. We don't want to knock this down too much. So I'm going to try with levels at the end to add some of the contrast. So it's going to give us some of the final look. If you can see, the contrast might get a bit too strong at some point. And there's a very simple thing how you can actually knock it down, and later on you're going to see if it works actually for you. I like to use gradient map for this, and if you work with landscapes, it's actually giving you a really nice dreamy effects kind of, but I think it kind of gives you really nice results on the portraits as well. I'm going to try with portraits. I'm going to turn this off, and I'm going with luminosity, and as you can see, it actually made the bigger range. So before it was quite strong. I'm going to take this down. So we get into this kind of dreamy effect right now, I could say. Levels do the job really well. Maybe I could do even a bit more here. I don't want to take down the details from the hair. It's very important for me. I was bringing them up. So for sure, I don't want to get into the point where I'm losing it. That's not something I would like to do. I think now this level will be really good for it. Have a look. I want to see how all looks after this editing. Before, after. I still think we lost some contrast, so I'm just going to take this down from here. And a few points more for levels, and have a look once again. I think even more here. And this is the result I think I do really like. I'm not sure about the light over here, if it's not kind of overburned, but it's mostly the job that selective color did before. So that's something, that's how it looks like. I like the kind of dreamy effect that we got into this. That's what I achieve, and I'm going to call this color. That's before this final step, and that's after. Of course, the possibility is we could work even a little bit more to achieve more contrast, to achieve a bit more specific colors. Maybe I'm going to try a bit more to see what will be the best for my final result, but that's what I mostly use. I'm not going to do more right now because of course that's a tutorial, that would be too much time. However, right now I achieve really nice colors, so I'm just going to work a bit more with the contrasts for now. Thank you for watching. Of course, I recommend you my premium courses, link in the description, and huge discount, especially my high-end beauty retouching course. It's really worth 7 hours for only $19 with the discount link in the description. Let's see at our final result. That was the raw image we started with, and that I mean this was after raw conversion, of course, and that's after the whole process. So thank you for watching, and I'm going to see you soon in the next Photoshop tutorial. Thank you.